All right, Shalom, Shalom.
Shalom.
It's the brothers from Great Millstone, Charlotte, coming back with another Lord willing, edifying lesson to feed the elect of the nation of Israel. And before we get started with this lesson, we want to give all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Hakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect that's out here laboring in all truth and sincerity. To you, we say Shalom. And pretty much in this lesson, we wanted to speak about how these MAGAs are beginning to rebel against Trump because as we see this country, continue in this downward spiral, hey, Esau is beginning to take notice and they realizing that Trump has he's pretty much, lied to him. He's pulled the bait and switch. All right. And as the Lord begins to allow these Edomites to realize that they've been duped. All right, reality is hitting home, man, and they're suffering. They're pissed because their great white hope is beginning to show you that he doesn't give a fuck about these Americans, man. Hey, he's pro-Israel, all right, but he's these elites puppet that is being used to bring in this new world order. All right. So your brothers had any opening statements?
Uh, did you want me to get that Obadiah?
Um, yeah, whatever y'all brothers got, go ahead.
Okay. This is Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 3. All right. And essentially you had made a point, priest. I can't remember exactly what you had said, something about like the colorism or the racism essentially blinds Esau.
Mm-hmm.
Some of that effect, but pretty much, that's Esau's way of pretty much naming it, because he said he has a saying in the world that naming it is taming it, but ultimately this plays into his pride. This is Ibadia Obadiah chapter 1 and verse 3. It says, "The pride of thine heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?" So ultimately this man's pride is very high, being that he has his positioning, but Esau has played that into his favor, and ultimately, in that pride, um, he has made it to where he's divided his country. All right,
Yep.
and ultimately, we understand what the scriptures say that a nation divided, roughly paraphrasing, is not going to stand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tom, you had the Isaiah.
God. This is Isaiah chapter 14 and verse 11. It says, "Thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of the vials. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee."
You speak on it.
Kind of when we go into that definition of the word pomp, it basically means pride. So the pride of Babylon the Great, right, has been brought down to the grave. It's dead, right? The pride that people held, which was really associated to this current administration, is pretty much being thrust through. These people under the current administration look to this as a beacon of hope that
Mm-hmm.
despite this previous administration and how it came in and pushed all of these, you know, totally debaucherous agendas, right, to cater to the nasty people the most, to cater to the idea of uh, trying to allow for people to pretty much lean more into that left hand. They thought that this administration was going to, try to fix things, right? That's
Right.
why we saw the narrative of Trump and his administration was more so quote unquote Christian focused, right?
Mm-hmm.
It had an element of what people saw as holiness, right? But ultimately, it was nothing more than a snare. And now these people have woken up to the fact that they were beguiled, they were duped, right? So
Mm-hmm.
they have little to no pride in this country because of the leadership that has existed, the rulers, the governors, right? That have been in these positions of power. It says that the
Yeah.
worm is spread under thee and the worms cover thee. Speaking of the corrosion of this system, right? As we see, the thing that makes a system is its people. Okay, that's what makes a society is the people that live in it. So when you have a people that are living in a country that no longer have a hope in this country, that brings forth corrosion. That brings forth destruction. And that's what we're coming into. This is the times that we're coming into where we're going to see more and more of this system break down repeatedly in different industries, in different avenues of how this quote unquote system, this America, has been able to sustain itself.
Con, y'all saying that? Let's play some of this video.
Before we play this video too,
Mm-hmm.
I want to harp on the fact that with these Edomites that the brother's going to play in this video, Esau, you devils for the longest thought that you were going to be able to put yourself into a good position, right? The scriptures speak about how the inward thought is that their houses shall continue forever. You devils are in for a rude awakening, man. And may Yahweh Shema Shai make a speedily return to deliver his elect and rain vengeance upon you fucking heathen, man.
Yep.
Because all of these problems that you're gonna complain about is predicated on your wicked rulership.
Yep.
I never thought I'd say that, but I regret my vote. I voted for Trump. And now, in the first few weeks of his presidency, thousands of people are losing their jobs. I lost my job. I was the director of operations of bear studies. For the last 4 years, we've been studying whether or not bears in fact shit in the woods. And now it's gone. It's all gone. What am I supposed to tell my family? What am I supposed to tell them? If you voted for Trump, I don't even know what to say. Except fuck you. All the money being taken, all the jobs being lost. I don't know what to do.
Why? Oh, why? Oh, why? Do poor white
Hang on, right, priest.
vote against stimulus?
Wait. 1 quick second, Ak, if I may say.
Mm-hmm.
If that guy, if I heard him correctly, he said that he was the director of operation of bears shitting in the woods. Now, we remember when this administration came in, there was like a steamroll of changes as far as how funding was delineated to certain departments. And we warned you going back to the early part of this year that with these changes to funding, it was going to dismantle key departments that keep up the function of this country.
Yep.
Now, this guy in particular, I don't think that studying the operation of fucking bear shitting is anything of value, right? But there are people that held positions within the government sector, within private sector that received federal funding that had key roles in maintaining the overall function of society, such as EPA, the natural, what's the people that watch out for the like wildlife, parks and recreation, things of that nature. So when we're seeing months later, the drawback that's really starting to hit, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, because what we're seeing is they're allocating that money to military because we understand that Trump is, getting ready for World War III. All right, the average everyday person may not realize that, but if you're paying attention to how things are going, this is what that's leading to. So this is why not only is it being done to disenfranchise the people, but like I said, it's to get ready for World War III because, as we know, with this economy going under like this is all to make headway for war, because we know before any major war breaks out, it's always due to money reasons. So this is just the Lord. He's doing multiple things at once. As we know, he's a master chess player. So as he's setting up, America to be checkmated, all right, all these pawns and different, pieces are being knocked off the board as well. So, you devils that have lived deliciously without any care about what's been happening to Jake, Now you're beginning to see exactly what Jake feels. All right.
Yep.
I had a quick precept if I can.
You got it.
This is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 1. And it says, the burden of Egypt. All right, and that burden goes into a load or something that this place has to look forward to. So it says, the burden of Egypt, behold, the Lord rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence. All right, and the thing about ancient Egypt, the idols was ultimately touched and made a public example. And it's the same thing that's happening today. All right, so it says, and the idols of Egypt shall be moved at his presence, because ultimately, these idols are essentially being exposed. It says, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And essentially the heart is the mind, the center, so the things that once was like part of the society, they're being removed, so hence that guy, he said he was the, the operator, or he was in charge of, the bears or whatever. You got countless amounts of jobs that essentially in America, Babylon the Great, that essentially are comprising a greater network, to where how this place essentially runs, so those types of jobs are being removed, so that plays a part, in the heart of Egypt melting, because they essentially don't have anything to confide in. So verse 2, it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, all right, and the Egyptians, the Egyptians against the Egyptians. That's pretty much infighting, civil war, it's a war with the other nations brewing in the so-called Middle East, you see, but then you also got a war that's brewing on the home front, all right, to where, the video that was played with the funny guy, with the glasses, pretty much, he was talking about often, his fellow Edomite, being that, the policies and stuff that they're currently pushing. You see, you got that, you got a gender war, a class war, so-called race war. It's a war on all fronts. Pretty much is going into civil war. But Isaiah 19:2, it says, and I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And that's what we're seeing, the civil wars and the infighting, this country is divided on all fronts.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that in a minute. I really just wanted to play her part, and then we'll go into what you just said.
Selves, time and time again. Do poor white people
Jobs being lost. I don't know what to do.
Why, oh why do poor white people vote against themselves time and time again? They vote for Trump and the other MAGA politicians, only to have every promise broken, prices go up, social supports evaporate. Here's why. First, remember what I talked about recently, the psychological wage of whiteness. That term was coined by W.E. Boyce to describe poor white folks being paid with social status rather than decent living conditions. They're convinced by the elites that they're better than black folks, better than immigrants, Latinos, LGBTQ folks. They're convinced that being white puts them in the same league as the elites. Of course, the elites know otherwise, but the poor whites buy it because they're grasping at straws. Second, they are convinced that the people they're supposedly better than are the big threat in their lives. Not the rich, not the corporations or the politicians, but immigrants, like folks, Queens, LGBTQ, criminals, the usual scapegoats. Third, the elites promise protection to poor white folks. A politician comes along and says, I'll keep those people in their place, or I'll kick them out, or I'll lock them up, or more politely, I'll defend your values. They don't say, I'll make your life better. Well, they say it, they just don't mean it. They'll say, I'll make sure they don't get ahead of you. Fourth, they vote for the punishment, not the policy. When a law gets passed that slashes public housing, or school funding, or food aid, they think, good, that'll stop those lazy freeloaders. And they do some mental gymnastics that make them believe it's worth losing those things for their own families in order to see those problematic black people and immigrants and so forth being punished. it gets to a point where just seeing those guys being punished is reward enough, which is pretty sick. But that's how behavior works. Their housing, schools, and groceries are on the chopping block too, but they blame that on Biden. Always a scapegoat. They get hit by the same policies they were told would punish the others. And they blame the wrong people. The system fails them, but they've been trained to blame the scapegoats, not the cause, which is the rich people, the people they voted for. They think the problem is still those people, not the fact that they were personally manipulated by the people they voted for. They're basically saying, I'll take the hit as long as you don't help them, or worse, as long as you hurt them. That is the psychological wage Du Bois was talking about, the trade-off between material security for racial status. And that's a crime and shame, folks.
And so pretty much, just to wrap up what she was saying, like I was telling the brothers off the camera, all right, the elites use Esau's hatred for Jake as a weapon against them. So these devils, these Joe Six-Pack, two-time loser devils, all right, are so racist that it blinds their stupidity to where Esau was the elites, were able to as long as they were fucking Jacob, they can take whatever they wanted from these average everyday Edomites, and they wouldn't bat an eye, man. Okay, this is why we could sit and say with utmost surety that Esau Edom is a terrible ruler, because as we know he's been declaring war on Jake since we came over here, but he also has been declaring war on his own people as well, because they're blindly following behind these wicked ass politicians to the point that they don't even realize that they've been getting duped this whole time. As generations begin to pass, they have been getting their rights stripped from them as well, which is why you're starting to see different ones speak out against the government. I got a precept here. This is Sirach chapter 14 and verse 5. It says, "He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods." Right. So as the head Edomites that's in charge, all right, they're not, good to their own people. So what makes you think that Esau will be, good to anyone else, man? All right. These devils are a virus, to themselves as well as the world, man. This is why, as we constantly say, the earth is in need of new rulership, because these devils are showing you that they'll snake their own people. So they're just a walking implosion waiting to happen. It's like a black hole that's waiting to take everything with them. Now, to kind of sum up what she said, I wanted to play this clip from Eddie Griffin, because he, in a nutshell, said exactly what she said, in a comical way. So I'm gonna play it in the background. I want to play it on the screen and get a copyright strike. So
tell me open his mouth. He told broke white people whatever they wanted to hear. That's how he got their vote. All trailer trash want to know is that they better than the nigga. Trump promised me everything. I promise we're gonna be better than Nick. Trump saying we're gonna be better than that. Be better than that jigger nigga.
Priest, you may have to put the mic closer up. We can't really hear it.
you can't hear it. All right.
Not too. It's kind of faint.
Where's the mic at? Just a second. I'm gonna send it to you. Let you do it, because I don't know where the mic is on here.
Okay, Con. While you send that, I got something for you.
Go ahead.
You oftentimes bring up this quote, just land backing on that video. This is a quote from former President Lyndon B. Johnson. It says, "If you can convince the lowest white man he's better than the best colored man, he won't notice you're picking his pocket. Hell, give him somebody to look down on and he'll empty his pockets for you." And it makes me think back to that film that we watched. What's the name of the film, man? The Book of Clarence, which was like a loose adaptation to try to like point at the story of like a false prophet imitating Yahweh Shai. But I think the guy's name, I can't even remember the dude's name, but there was a scene between him and a Roman centurion when they tried to come after Clarence, and he said that, the problem with you Romans is that you're inferior. You fear your inferiority, and that's been a long rooted problem in the spirit of Esau, is that he fears his own inferiority and the resilience that Jacob has, and how we smile in the face of adversity, how we exhibit this spirit of the will to overcome and to stand in the face of adversity and still smile. Esau hates that. His whole obsession is to really break Jake. If I may, priest, could I get this precept right quick?
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And then I'll play that video that you just sent. So this is Genesis chapter 27 and verse 41. I'm going to read this in the International Standard Version. It says, "So Esau harbored animosity toward Jacob because of the way his father had blessed him." So Esau, to this day, he feels, in a sense, duped that he was unable to receive the blessing. But at the end of the day, the Lord had it to where you were able to get into the seat of power. But look what you do. You've shown that you are not fit to be in the position of rulership because of how you conduct yourself.
Exactly.
Esau kept saying to himself, the time to mourn for my father is very near. That's when I'm going to kill my brother Jacob. And Esau still carries this spirit, right? To where he's like, shit, if I can just kill Jacob, fuck my well-being.
Right.
As long as I can see my brother Jacob is heavily oppressed and he's down and out, I don't care about my well-being. As long as he ain't doing better than me, as long as I feel a sense of superiority over my brother Jacob. And that animosity has blinded Esau to the point where, like you have read, priest, in the book of Sirach, right? He's to the point in the Sirach, the 14th chapter, he's to the point where he don't even do well to himself.
Nope.
He like, fuck it. Nigga, take away the federal funding, even though it primarily benefits my nation.
Yeah. Like good example of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like if I can add to your point real quick, a good example of that was DEI, because at first everybody was laughing about that because it was like, oh yeah, niggas is going to be affected, but then it came out that Edomites was the main recipients of that DEI.
Yep, that's it. This is Esau all day, every day. This nigga he operates like a loser, because that's what you are, Esau. You're a loser, man. I got that video for you, priest. I'll go ahead and play the Eddie Griffith excerpt.
The water.
Mouth. He told broke white people whatever they wanted to hear. That's how he got their vote. All trailer trash want to know is that they better than a nigga. Trump promising everything. I promise you're gonna be better than a nigga. Trump said we gonna be better, nigga. I'm be better than that jigger nigga. I'm gonna be better than that diddy nigga. I'm gonna be better than that Griffin nigga. Better than a nigga. You ain't better than a nigga yet, are you? And then he promised them a wall. Where y'all wall at, white folks? What happened to the wall? There's no wall. Because the wall ain't coming, you stupid motherfuckers.
You can stop it right there.
Don't talk that shit. Well, China built it.
That's in essence exactly what we see with these Joe Six-Pack Edomites, man. All right, they're so blinded by their hatred for Jake that they wouldn't even realizing that their whole country is being, snatched from under them, which is why could you go back to that Isaiah 19 and get that description about the cruel Lord? Because I want to make a mention off of what you said, Tazwan, because I think if I remember correctly, it's like I don't know what you call the word. It's like a wise tale or whatever, but it's something like it was a story about like a scorpion. And the scorpion was like on the back of I think it was a toad or whatever. And it was using the toad to get over the water. And the fucking scorpion stung the toad. and they both ended up drowning because he wanted to kill the toad, but he didn't realize that if he would have killed the toad, then he was going to die with him. But that's essentially what Esau Edom is facing in his country today, man. And the Most High is using Trump to pretty much destroy them. All right, in the midst of all this, man. All right, so he's using their hatred against them to the point to where they're destroying themselves.
Yep.
This is Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 4. And it says, the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel Lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord of hosts.
And this is proof that this is Trump. That without a doubt, we can see that Trump is that cruel Lord, man, because he's doing exactly what we said that he was going to do as far as him bringing in the destruction of this country. He's doing a perfect job of that, man. All right. And in doing so, he is splitting America in half. Now, you won't quoted earlier the scripture about how a nation divided, all right, cannot stand in itself. I'm going to grab that real quick.
Priest, if I may, could I get a quick cross-reference for that precept that we just read? This is Psalms 109 and verse 6. It says, set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. So, this cruel Lord Trump, we see that Satan is the right hand. That is the power source of these Edomites, and Trump is making that widely known.
So this is Luke chapter 11, verse 18. It reads, if Satan also be divided against himself, how shall his kingdom stand? Because you say that I cast out devils through Beelzebub. But the point being, if Satan is divided, how is his kingdom going to stand, man? Because as we know, what was able to keep Esau, pretty much at peace is because they all agreed on one thing. And that one thing was to oppress the shit out of Jake. Yep. So now we see the tide is shifting to where more Edomites are in a worse state than most Jakes are now. Then that's why they're beginning to speak up, because we've always said this from the jump. The only reason that these Edomites are speaking out now against the elites is because they're realizing that they don't have that same slice of the pie as their brethren. All right, because when you look back in slavery days, all right, they pretty much didn't care about anything that happened, because as long as they were able to live better than Jake, then they were satisfied, man. But like I said, as you see the title of this video, white folks are confused that blacks are not crying about economy and they are happy while they're sad. Because the thing about it, Israel is used to living, without nothing, man. All right. Hey, that's been our in our spirit going all the way back into Egypt. We know how to adapt being oppressed, man. All right. Because hey, Jake knows how to deal with discomfort. We're a people that are able to prosper through anything because of the Spirit of the Lord that's within us. All right.
Yeah.
So let's shift gears. Let me get this off the screen. Okay, just going into the fact of how these devils are, how Trump is being used to stir up, these different things. So let's talk about you want to mention earlier, the funny people thing, right? So let's put this on the screen. Because as of late, we've all been seeing an uptick of these mass shootings, and with these mass shootings, it has all been Transformers for the most part of the last few years that has been doing these shootings. Now, if you've been paying attention to this, all right, this is a psychological operation that Esau is using to bring forth his different parts of his plan, as far as taking away the guns from the people, all right, having a reason for them to bring in this police state, which is why you're seeing him, bring the military to, Chicago, DC, and these different parts of the U.S. But ultimately, that's all, psyops to have them justify bringing this police state in, all right, which you see within this week, to the talk of Project Gideon, all right, which is, exactly what we saw when we watched that movie Minority Report. Now, I've had this video, since like 2020. This that came out, and I saved it, and I was seeing, that with this last shooting of that church brought me to remembrance of this. So I wanted to play this. Could you hold 2 Corinthians 2:11 while I play this too, Baba Kashaf?
Priest, why you play that? Could you give me a wrench on your channel, please, Baba Kashaf?
I got you.
Dua.
Mm-hmm. 1 second. Shit, how you do that?
If you're on the you'd have to go to YouTube to add the wrench. You could just play the video and then on your phone, go to your phone and then
The animal into a
add it.
I got you.
corner, they're going to become a dangerous animal. So if you want to die on that hill of yours of righteousness and moral majority, then you go right ahead. I dare you to try and stop me from going into a women's bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make. I dare you to try and stop a transgender woman in my presence from using the bathroom. It will be the last mistake you ever make. This is a call to action and a call to arms. You need to arm up. Plain and simple. Go out, buy a gun. Learn how to use it efficiently, through and through. Because the time to act is now.
So you're going to protect your fellow trans people from going into the bathroom by murdering anybody who says anything to you. So you're a murderer, and your gender dysphoria has blossomed to the point that you are ready to mass murder like all of these other trannies. Let me just explain to you the Constitution. It gives you the right to defend yourself, okay? And it also gives you the right that if you think you have a right that's being violated, to sue. That's what the Constitution says. If you shoot somebody, kill somebody, murder somebody for telling you can't go in a bathroom with young children of the opposite sex, because that's predatory behavior. If they tell you that, you have no right to shoot them. Are you out of your mind? Seriously.
All right. So like I said, man, this is a psyop that we see being done, because everything that we see happening is being done for a reason. So this is why at the end of the day, don't be blinded, by the different stories that you're seeing Esau leak, because there's always an underlying reason or meaning behind everything you see happening. Okay, did you grab that 2 Corinthians, Baba Kashaf?
Khan, this is 2 Corinthians chapter 2 and verse 11. And it says, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices.
Right. So you got to be on your P's and Q's if you're, calling yourself a watchman, because like I said, we got to know what the true reason behind this. Trump is doing this. Well, not Trump, but the elites are doing this. All right. To dissension amongst the people. All right. Because it's funny. Like I said, that pairing this video with this article, we can see, exactly what he's trying to do. All right. So as we see here, this is from the newrepublic.com. Trump angers NRA with plot to ban trans people from owning guns. So it's just further dividing up the country. Okay. So it says guns right groups are up in arms, even over reports that Trump administration is considering banning transformer Americans from possessing firearms, as conservatives used the deadly mass shooting in Minneapolis last week to vilify the T community. The shooter was transformer. It says CNN and New York Post reposted Thursday that Donald Trump's Justice Department is in preliminary talks about implementing a gun ban for trans people. When Republican presidents are typically the darling sound of Second Amendment advocates, the idea was denounced swiftly and roundly by every major gun rights organization. So what we're seeing is Trump is beginning to attack, your Constitution. Because if he can justify, editing the Second Amendment, all right, to make it to where the nasty people can't get guns no more, what's stopping him from adding other stipulations into that as well? So ultimately, it's going to come down to the point to where they're going to have to just do away with the Second Amendment altogether. And this is why you're seeing the uptick of mass shootings. All right. You had, if you watch Apostle Tahar's video dealing with the talk of Gideon, you had the poll of the uptick of mass shootings that has happened from like the 80s until now. And it's, hundreds of shootings every year compared to it was, an isolated event to where it's becoming an everyday thing to where the people are desensitized. So for them to try to clean this up, they're trying to put stipulations on who can own guns now, which is why you're starting to see, these different talks, because ultimately, as we constantly go into, Esau is going to strip all your rights away, man. All right, to the point to where the Constitution is just going to be toilet paper at that point, man. All right.
I had a quick precept, Priest. I just want to land back on that point, that you read as far as this article related to the NRA, because with this particular group, they are now akin to minorities.
Yep.
So what we see is the writing on the wall is not only to, like you said, Priest, to just go after this one particular group, but to pretty much go across the board and strip these rights from the people, right? And more so specifically, strip the rights of you Israelites piece by piece, which is what we're seeing with this administration, is the disenfranchisement of you tribes on every sector, whether it's work, whether it's access to resources, whether it's access to housing, whether it's access to even the ability to purchase weaponry. That's across the board. They're using these beings to be very tactful. Now, I had a quick precept. This is Psalms chapter 64 and verse 5 in the GNT. Matter of fact, I'll start at verse 4 in the GNT. It says, "They are quick to spread their shameless lies. They destroy good people, with cowardly slander." Right. And that's what Esau is doing, right? Throughout all of these various different enchantments, right? These various different psyops, which is what we read in 2 Corinthians 2 and 11, right? Where we are not, ignorant of Satan's devices as the rest of the people are. But an overwhelming majority of our people are, in fact, ignorant, right? Verse 5, they encourage each other in their evil plots. They talk about where they will place their traps. So with the trap, we understand that it's spaced out. There's action that has to be taken in order to lead the animal down into a trap. There has to be a means in which there can be a tactic to allow for that trap to be launched on the proper target that they are intending to aim at, which is targeting you Israelites, mainly the elect. But we know that there's nothing that they can truly do against the Lord's anointed, the Lord's elect.
Fine. If I can add to you, because I'll read these two paragraphs real quick before I make my point. It says the National Rifle Association condemn any policy proposals that implement sweeping gun bans that arbitrarily strip law-abiding citizens of their Second Amendment rights without due process. Gun Owners of America said the organization opposes any and all gun bans, full stop. And another post, GOA deplored the addition of any new category of persons to the unconstitutionally broad mental defective category, which would not only block them from purchasing firearms, but could result in door-to-door gun confiscation from the new category of individuals. So this is what you're saying, because Esau is trying to make justification of stripping away your rights. Now, a point I wanted to make to what you were saying as far as dealing with Jake, because I found out that amongst these mass shooting reports, they have since added Jake into that. So anytime you hear, any like the gang violence, any Jake shooting another Jake, so-called black on black crime, that has now been classified as under the mass shooting numbers as well. Because as Esau is trying to hide himself, all right, we know that Esau leads the league in mass shooting numbers. So to try to, scale back, that curtain, they have implemented Jake into that too. So, like you were saying, Jake is going to see, the brunt of this as well when Esau begins to put this shit on the books, because every time you see these mass shootings take place, this is just another step towards them trying to figure out a way to take away the people's guns. All right, we saw that with Biden when he was in office. He was talking about that. Now Trump is in office. Now he's bringing it back up because all these presidents have the same agenda when it comes to the cracking down on this society. So this is why we say you can't be ignorant of Satan's devices. Everything has an underlying meaning why he's letting these things go. Because if they truly wanted to stop that, it's nothing for him to stop these shootings, man. But he's doing these things, all right. Whether it's MK Ultra, whether it's just different fringe groups or just a bug out, they're all playing in the hand of what the elite's goal is, man. All right. So it's all about putting the law on the book to have it to where they're not gonna allow the people to have their constitutional rights anymore, man. Okay, as we're seeing that they're attacking the First Amendment, all right, the free speech, Second Amendment, and then on down the line. So, like I said, your Constitution is going to at some point become toilet paper, man. All right, and I want to grab this. What'd you say?
No, I was saying it's nullified. They turned it into a means of more so a idealism. It's not really like applicable in the modern world as they oftentimes try to allude to.
Yeah, because the reason why you see a lot of these, America First Edomites, clinging so heavy to this, because when you go into really what the Constitution was for, it was to make it to where if the people saw that the government was becoming tyrannical, they had the ability to fight against it. Well, as Trump promised before he got in the office, he said that he was going to become a dictator, and he's making due to that promise, man. All right. And you're not going to do anything about it. The fact that he, with all those felony charges that he was found guilty of, was still able to run and win, shows you that since he got in office, he's literally been doing anything that he wanted, because that's essentially what the elites want him to do, because he's that pawn that they're going to use to bring in this new world order. All right. So grabbing this here in Psalm 94 and 20, it says, shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by law. All right. And so this is what we're talking about, man. Esau is having these different things on the books to have it to where he's justified on bringing this new world order in. Like you brought out at Camp Wednesday, the big beautiful bill was nothing more than project. Was it, you said 2030 or 2025?
You said Project 2025?
Yeah, you had brought that point you made at camp about the big beautiful bill is the
yes. It's Project 2025 was the big beautiful bill in disguise.
Yeah.
Because when you look at the chart, like as far as like the breakdown of Project 2025 and the various different initiatives that were implemented into that federal budget for the big beautiful bill, they're the exact same thing.
So this is why we said, man, he framed with mischief by law, because he's justifying himself and bringing forth this destruction. All right, and these Edomites are slowly beginning to realize that, which is why they're mad. Okay, so I want to read what you said. This is well, no, that's something else. Never mind, Salaki. So we're gonna get this last video, and then we'll wrap it up. We gotta go ahead and get ready for camp.
Okay.
So, in that, now, a part of America being divided, you also have members of his own military, and you can speak to this, speaking out against Trump as well. All right. Now, this video was sent to the chat by Tazwam last night. I wanted to bring this out.
Every American sitting at home right now needs to realize that you are paying for a genocide.
Rise up, America, to take back this country from these corrupt politicians. It is time. It is beyond time. Thank you for your service.
And as you see the caption in this, it says even the soldiers know it's worse than they're letting us know. Now you can speak on it, bro.
Khan's pretty much showing the reflection of the estate of America. You know, scriptures say, let me get that real fast. This is Isaiah chapter 47 and verse 1. It says, come down and sit in the dust, which the dust essentially represents confusion and chaos. And it says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground, there is no throne. And something that really made America what it was the military. Scriptures call this place the hammer of the earth. You know, so seeing that, let me finish this out. It says, there is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. You know, so this place is being exposed and it's being seen for what it truly is, you know, which is a cesspool of wickedness, you know, but this shows the reflection of as to the status of the hegemony or the rulership of America, you know, because they're in respected areas or sectors of business in this place, you know, that she's a captain. That's fairly high. And that guy, he was highly decorated. So he had achievements in America, you know. But being that they're locking them up, it's showing that they don't even care about, you know, those that's respected in their societies, you know. So it's showing that this place is on its way out.
Mm-hmm. Because it's gonna get to a point till, as you saw the woman saying, these wicked and corrupt politicians, the people are going to start taking matters into their own hands. And this is prophecy according to Second Ezra, the 15th chapter. If I can get this real quick, this is Second Ezra 15 and 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So we already know that these people in the military, they know more than what the public is being let to know. All right. So what you're starting to see is, you know, the few that have the courage to actually speak up and start and try to warn the people of what's coming. All right, Esau is quickly cracking down on them so that they don't allow the public to be, you know, informed, so that, you know, hysteria won't ensue. But there's going to come a point to where that's going to become common knowledge that these corrupt governors, senators, politicians, and even presidents, people are going to come after Trump. All right. This is why, like that video, I'm not going to play it, but you have that AI video that has been, you know, circulating around, to where you have all the elites, you know, in the upper, you know, class Edomites, you know, pretty much feasting in the White House, and you have the MAGAs, as the country getting worse, man. They're you know, getting evicted out their houses. All right, they're as the social credit scores is being set up. All right, they're being stripped of their rights. The people are going to be so downtrodden to where they're going to have no choice but to take to the streets, and they're going to actually come after these different politicians. Like when you see in what Batman movie was it? Was it The Dark Knight, the last one with Bane?
Oh, The Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah. When they was pretty much having like the judge, jury, executioner style on different politicians. It was like, look, we can kill you, or you can walk on that frozen river, and they was drowning. So it's gonna get to that point that they're gonna come after these wicked people in power, man. All right, and that's gonna lead to all out anarchy, which is what the elites want. This is why they're allowing this place to go, you know, bottom up, man, because they want things to get in such chaos to where the people are begging for order, which is going to come via martial law, man. All right. So the total, you know, upheaval of society and destruction of this place, man, is all being done for the benefit of Yasharallah, man. Because we understand, like it says in Second Ezra, the 4th chapter, we can end on that one. Somebody can grab that. Second Ezra 4 and start at verse 28 and 29.
Okay. It's Second Ezra. You said chapter 4 and 28.
Con.
It's Second Ezra 4 and verse 28. It says, but as concerning the things whereof thou hast, but as concerning the things whereof thou askest me, I will tell thee, for the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come.
Mm-hmm. And we've been warning. We've been warning of that destruction that is coming. And see, that's the thing with our people is they don't want to suffer. So, like, you had that tweet. I forgot what rapper had said that years ago, where he pretty much had said, everybody is celebrating the destruction of America, like we don't got to live here. He said something along them lines. But hey, we rejoice in seeing that because this is what we've been waiting on from the moment we woke up into this truth, man. We understand the dynamics of how things must go. All right, go ahead.
Verse 29. If therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that is sown with good.
Right. So, hey, we must go through, the destruction of this kingdom before we get the kingdom of heaven. You can't build a kingdom within a kingdom. All right. Two kingdoms cannot stand at the same time. All right. So this is why you see the majority of Edomites, in this state of lamentation and confusion, because they're witnessing their kingdom falling. And I'll bring this back on the screen one more time. It says white folks are confused that blacks are not crying about economy, and they are happy while they're sad because Emily, even though Jake catching that shit too, man, seeing these devils in this desperate state, man, it low key brings them joy because now Esau, like Pastor Hart had that video, Esau is the new niggas,
Mm-hmm.
You see more Edomites in the car crying, complaining. It's really Esau and Eve is the two main recipients of this hell that is being brought upon the earth right now, man, because these two people are the main ones that were living in ease. Now the Lord is bringing, that destruction. Now they're the main ones, crying out. But we have to go through this destruction before we get the kingdom of heaven, man. We can't have, the good without the bad. Like I was using the analogy, all right, that beautiful rainbow that you see, all right, in the sky, you can't get that without that storm that comes first, man. So we have to weather the storm that is the destruction of Babylon before we can receive of that blessing of the kingdom of heaven. All right. So you brothers had any closing statements?
Allah.
All right. So with that, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying. All right, we're gonna close out by giving all honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachahakwadash. Double honors to our apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And peace and salutation to the elect. Until next time, we say shalom.
Shalom.